Here we go with the Kia Knicks postgame show as the Knicks wrap up the road trip losing to the Jazz. Knicks coming home 1-3 on this West Coast swing. Austin Rivers, 25 points in the first half, 10 of 10 from the floor, but did not score in the second half. Knicks get only 13 points in the fourth quarter. Rudy Gobert goes for 18 and 19, and Utah's now won 9 straight. Knicks go down on the road. From our Delta MSG studios, Bill Pito along with Wally Zerbiak. Alan Hahn joins us from his home studio. Alan, you know, you're going to look at the final score and not realize, if you don't look at it closely, that the Knicks were actually up by 1 after 3 quarters of play.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling, really. And you know what it looks like, though, is they ran out of gas. I hate to be cliche about it, a 4-game road trip, but that's essentially what it looked like. A team that just didn't have anything left in the tank, and whatever they did, they emptied in the first half. Basically, that third quarter really was a turning point when the Jazz came out with a lot more energy. And Mike Conley, I thought, changed the game. He dominated both the Knicks point guards. Elfrid Payton couldn't do anything with him. Emmanuel quickly couldn't make a shot, and that was really where the struggle began for them. But you know, it's a tough road trip at 1-3, Wally, if you think about that. But a very competitive one. And I hate to sound like that. You know how I am, and I know how you are about it. You got to get wins. It's all about wins. But when you're trying to build something like Tom Thibodeau is trying to build right now, you've got to kind of look at some of the details. And it's a very competitive road trip, a tough one, and a tough way to finish it.
Yeah, it is. And this is always the toughest game, the getaway game. And I know that does sound cliche. And they look like they just kind of, just lost the fight at the end in the fourth quarter. And I think a big reason why is Rudy Gobert. Having him back there on the defensive end of the floor, Austin Rivers was amazing. He was making unbelievable shots in that first half. He was absolutely on fire. But having a rim protector and the former Defensive Player of the Year around the basket looming, when the Knicks needed those easy buckets around the hoop, he just defended it, and he didn't let that happen. And, you know, this guy's pretty important to this Jazz team. There's a reason why they're one of the best teams in the West, and they're on a 9-game winning streak now after this win against the Knicks, because, you know, he does a lot of little things that make it really tough to score the basketball. And you can go through big-time droughts for a long time because of his defense. He's a great roller. He knows his role. He's not out there spacing the floor. He's always out there around the rim. He's a lot like Mitchell Robinson, brings a lot of those same attributes that Mitch brings. And you can see what an impact he has and why the Utah Jazz gave him $200 million, or close to $200 million. Because in a game like tonight, when the Knicks aren't a great outside shooting team, they had it going for a couple quarters. Austin Rivers was on fire. But when the Knicks need a basket, they like to be able to attack that hoop and get something in the painted area. They couldn't do it tonight because of Rudy Gobert, and as a result, their offense was very, very stagnant, and they couldn't score much in that second half.
Donovan Mitchell, only 9 points. Only
Crazy.
9. You know, guys, you look at, Alan, how this is evolving. You know they're going to get something from Randall. RJ, especially over the last, aside from the game against Portland.
Though. That's a little
he had
hard.
17. The issue, Alan, is the third element, night in and night out, has not been consistent. They need a third scorer that's going to come through on a nightly basis, and right now they're not getting it.
Bill, you got 25 points off the bench from Austin Rivers.
I
understand.
Hold on. No, my point is, are you going to get that from him on Friday? The point is
but that's the idea of having depth, and again, that's what Tibbs, I think, has talked about, the idea of the depth, because they don't have, is that third piece, I guess, what you're talking about. Look, this is. I don't think we're fooling anybody this is not a championship roster. So clearly there's a lot of holes to fill still and a lot of pieces that need to be built up. There's no question about it. I mentioned quickly how much we talked in the pregame about should he start.
Burks was off tonight
absolutely struggled with his shooting as well. But just the quickly point of view, though, here is as much as we're so excited about performances like we saw in Portland, it's these kind of nights that continue to push the idea that, no, he's not ready yet to lead the way because he has these droughts. The biggest challenge, and Wally, I'm sure you remember this as a rookie, the biggest challenge is the most important part of proving yourself is consistency. Sure, you can do it once in a while, but when you can bring it every night, that's when your team can trust you, and that's when I think you earn more minutes and a bigger role. The problem is that he's not ready to step up, and the guy in front of him is also a guy you can't count on night after night to deliver as well. That's a big hole in the lineup that they've got to fill, no question. And one last thing. You talked about Rudy Gobert, Wally, and how great he played. If I'm Mitchell Robinson, I watch this tape back. I don't watch myself. I watch him. What a difference maker he is. And all the things that Gobert does are all the things that Mitchell Robinson has the skill set physically to do one day, hopefully soon.
You tuning Alan out, looking down at your phone?
No, I'm not. I'm just checking out Rudy Gobert's stats.
Okay, all right. Just.
I mean, he had 18 points and 19 boards.
Right.
I mean, just completely dominated.
And wasn't featured once.
No, and you don't
right?
call
He
a play
wasn't
for him
featured
once.
a single time.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't get a play called for him. He doesn't post up at all. He just knows his role. And having a body at that size, just to plug up the lane, I'm telling you, it makes your job so much easier, especially on the defensive end of the floor when you're a perimeter player, when you know you have the Defensive Player of the Year back there to defend the rim. I mean, Tim Duncan was the same way with the Spurs. Whenever you drove and you beat their guards, you know, Bruce Bowen could just be all over you because he knew if you went around him, you had to deal with Tim Duncan at the rim. So I really saw that the Knicks got a little bit demoralized by the fact that they had to go through Rudy Gobert, because a lot of times they would get to the rim or they would beat their defender, and they just couldn't finish because Rudy's around. And he doesn't always have to get the block shot, but he affects so much with his impact in his size just being out there.
Burks 3 out of 14 from the floor. Alan talking about Quigley struggles when only 1 of 11. Yep. But Rivers in the first half, if you're doing what he's doing from the outside, you don't have to worry about Rudy Gobert. 10 out of 10 from Rivers in the first half, 5 out of 5 from downtown, 25 points.
Yeah, and what a shame to waste this one and not get a win, because he absolutely just took over this game for a period of time. He only played 12 minutes because he got 3 fouls in the first half. I would have kept him out there. I mean, ride this guy as long as you can with the way he was shooting and as hot as he is. He was just phenomenal. 10 for 10, missed all 4 field goals, though, in the second half. I mean, he just lit up the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz had no answer for him. And I think they put like 4 or 5 different defenders on him to try to slow him down. The Knicks had a 13-point lead going into halftime. I mean, going into the third quarter. And then they just gave up that lead in the blink of an eye, and then they had a lead going into the fourth quarter. But you could tell the Knicks were just trending in the wrong direction. They needed another heroic performance like Austin Rivers gave them in the first half if they wanted to win this basketball game, and nobody could step up and do it. So, but that was pretty special what Austin did. I mean, that was fun to watch.
Wally, let me ask you a question. You said that if, you should have left him out there, right? The 3 fouls, who cares, leave him out there. What about starting him in the second half? Alec Burks was 0 for 6 in the first half. You clearly just didn't have it. Why not start Austin Rivers at the half and see if he just picks up where he left off instead of having him come in cold in the third quarter? Was that an option, or did you want to just stay consistent with your 5 in your rotation?
That's a really good thought. As a player, for the most part, though, you get used to your routine, kind of. And when you're kind of told, okay, I'm going to come off the bench this game, you kind of, that's how you prepare. Those are the guys you're prepared to guard. Those are the matchups that you kind of think, I'm going to be coming off the bench. I'm going to be guarding Jordan Clarkson. It's going to be like our matchup. So I'm okay with that. And then at the same time, Alec Burks had a really good game last game. So he had 1 bad half. You hope that in the second half, maybe he can pick up the slack, get himself going with that first unit. And one thing I really noticed is Julius Randle is looking for Alec Burks. Like every time he has the ball, he dribbles over to Alec Burks' side, gives him the ball, tries to set him a screen. He even got an offensive foul trying to get him open for a 3. Julius Randle wants someone in that starting lineup to make some shots for him, to open up the floor a little bit. And
RJ Barrett.
Yeah, RJ
was good tonight.
He was.
It should be RJ Barrett, Julius. Come on.
And Randall, by the way, another double-double, 18 and 10. Double-double machine.